you want a soapbox?
I just didn't know. Well, the protocol wasn't on camera now. Because if you're way over there, you're double eye on camera.
And then you're getting
Maybe
one
we're
more.
on background.
Good.
Picture.
This is some jerky dog.
Is it?
Yeah.
As of now, once a week.
Tag on her.
Right on the bottom of it. You're right on the bottom. I'm gonna start in a minute when you get something.
Is it very coming tonight?
Jay will be here soon. He's just probably running a minute late or something. Oh, is he walking? Okay, I'll wait for Jay then.
I know. Where's Colin Bible? Good, are you okay? If they never invited him back, he said you are not gonna catch up at the time 90s crowd.
You ready? I'm gonna call the meeting to order, and can you do roll call for me, Carla?
Sure. Mindy,
Yes?
Walt,
Yes.
Brent,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Greg.
Just making sure it's recording.
Okay, so Craig.
Not here,
Okay.
unless he's late, but he's not here yet.
All right.
So let's stand and do a pledge of allegiance and a prayer. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, as we come this evening, we just ask that you be with us through this meeting and help us make the best decisions for the town of Kirklin and guide and direct us on our way home this evening. In your name we pray. Amen. In our packet, council members, we have last month's meeting minutes from September the 8th. Was there any changes or corrections? Would anyone want to entertain a motion? Approval?
I will entertain a motion.
Okay, Walt has a motion, and Jerry second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Under our new business tonight, Renee Crick is going to present additional information for Central Dispatch for us, and she's put a folder on your table in front of you tonight, so.
Yeah.
Did I give you another copy?
No. That's, you should have,
Another one with you.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there isn't. But thank you.
Well, good evening. I am Director of Clinton County Central Dispatch. Also with me today is our Assistant Director, Chris Guajardo. So I'm going to, in your packet, I printed out our PowerPoint instead of, since we didn't have anything to put it up on the wall in here. So I printed the PowerPoint and I'll go through that with you. Also in your packet is a copy of the last agreement that the county had from 2014 that the board signed. And then also in there are just some information. I've left some extras with Mindy for the town, some pamphlets and different things that you can hand out to anybody that, in the community, and has information about dispatch and what to expect when you call 911 and texting and Nixle. So I will go ahead and get started. I know some of you are familiar, some are not. So on that first page, the history of the interlocal agreement. the county decided to adopt, back then it was called the Public Safety Lowit, and it was brand new money for everybody. And the county decided to enact this Public Safety Lowit tax in order to build central dispatch. So prior to 2009, we had 3 dispatch centers. We had Frankfort Police, Clinton County Sheriff, and Frankfort Fire. And as you can imagine, transferring calls, seconds count, minutes count, and when we had a committee prior to 2009, everybody decided we need to consolidate our dispatch centers. And so to be able to fund that, the county adopted the Public Safety Lowit tax. And so that was new money for everybody. And just as a refresher on that first page, so 100% of everybody's Lowit the first year went to fund central dispatch so that we could build the dispatch center. In 2010, it went to 75%. In 2011, 60%. And then in 2015, there was a second agreement signed, and that was at a distribution of 50% from 2015 through 2019, and that agreement automatically renewed unless someone gave written notice to terminate. Currently, the lit tax, it's now known as the lit, the rate is at 2.65%, and dispatch receives 25% of the public safety lit. And if you see the next several pages, I just did year by year. So we started with 2017. I'll just give you a quick, 2017, Kirklin's portion was $13,869. And of that percentage was 50% at that time was $6,934 is what went to fund central dispatch. And so if you just continue to go on through, we did a breakdown for each year. If you go on to 2023, as an example, I did want to point out, so the last few years, as you know, there has been a special distribution. You get your monthly distribution from the county. The county receives the money from the state, and then they issue each month the amount that you are to get, your percentage. The last few years, the state has given a special distribution as well. You will see in 23, the total distribution for Kirklin was $36,539. So your portion was $27,404, and then the portion that went to central dispatch was $9,134. And then below that is the breakdown, and you will see down below then a special lit. So there were 2 years, 23 and 24, if you see below, Kirklin received their special distribution was $3,745 was what you would have received prior to dispatch getting our amount. There was an error with how it was calculated in 23 and 24, and you actually got more. We didn't take more than what we were supposed to, but you will see we only received $936.25. So in 23 and 24, and I double checked with the auditor's office, there was an error in their formulas when it was calculated.
Okay.
So, and that was only on the special distribution for 23 and 24. So we should have received $936.25, but we only received $501 in 23, and that happened again in 24. So, and then in 25, so your total distributions, $37,333 is the total amount going to the county for Kirklin, and then they distribute out $27,999.72. So that's your amount you will have this year. And of that portion, 25% of the total, we received $9,333.28. So moving on, does anybody have any questions? Like I said, I don't think you need me to tell you every year what the distributions are, but I did want to put it out in front of you for that. And you can always get those from the auditor's office as well if you have any questions about anything, but that's where I got my numbers from. So then I just wanted to move on in kind of a past and present. So prior to central dispatch, like I said earlier, we had 3 dispatch centers. So for those of you that live in Kirkland, if you called 911 today, Jerry, prior to central dispatch, if you called 911 from your house on North Main Street and you needed fire and EMS, your call went to the sheriff's office because you lived in the county. All 911 calls in the county went to the sheriff's department. If people lived in the city of Frankfort, those 911 calls went to Frankfort Police. And if you needed an ambulance or the fire department, they would have to tell you, stay on the line while we transfer your call. And then that call would be transferred to the fire department, and then they took care of dispatching fire and EMS. So obviously prior to central dispatch, that minutes, seconds all count. Hi, good evening.
Sorry for being late,
No,
everybody.
you are fine, you are fine. So we had a lot of delay in dispatching of calls because of the time delay of transferring. We had lack of interoperability with our radios. I'm sure if Shane was around prior to then, he could tell you interoperability between other agencies and communications on our radios. They just, everybody was on a different channel. We just
I
couldn't
remember Byron
communicate.
Paget telling us about it.
Yes, it
He
was
told
really,
us,
it was really rough, prior to central dispatch. Many times, minimal staffing. Police department, we might have 1. Sheriff's department might have 1 or 2 dispatchers on, and the fire department always only had 1 person there. And they work 24-hour shifts, so they would have to wake up to answer the phone. And so we don't do that anymore, needless to say. There also was no call handling equipment. After central dispatch, we consolidated to 1 dispatch center. It was built in the lower level of the sheriff's office. And we had, at the time, when we built the dispatch center, we had 4 positions. So we had 4 dispatchers on a shift. They all worked 7 to 7. They still work 7 to 7. And we would work a minimum of 3 dispatchers on a shift. So 1 person could be off on vacation or holiday. We no longer have to transfer those calls. So if Chris and I would happen to be working the desk, we are trained, everybody is trained. Police, fire, EMS, no matter what the call is, and we answer 911, we can immediately handle that call. And we don't have to transfer those calls anymore. We can immediately start dispatching. If it's an accident, we can that's here in Kirkland. We dispatch everybody at the same time, police, fire, and EMS. They all get the same dispatch at the same time. And then we continue on. Fire and EMS will go to their channel, and the dispatcher that's taking care of fire that day will handle their traffic. And then if Brendan is on, or the Kirkland Marshal is on, or the Sheriff's Office, then the other dispatcher will take care of the radio traffic on that after the call is first dispatched. But the delay, we no longer have those delays. Many times, if Chris answers the phone and I listen, and I hear what the call is, it could be a chest pain, it could be chest pain here in Kirkland as an example. He adds the call in the computer system, we can all see the computers. As soon as he adds that address and I hear that it might be a 55-year-old male experiencing chest pains, he can continue to stay on the phone and ask important questions and continue on. I will dispatch that call, or one of our other dispatchers will dispatch that call. There's no delay. Once we get the vital information, we immediately start dispatching, whether the call is police, fire, EMS. The interoperability between agencies, and that's police, fire, EMS on radios. You guys just went to Hamilton County, correct? So we dispatched them. Hamilton County contacted us for the house fire that was in Hamilton County. Was it last
Oh,
night?
Boone County.
That wasn't
After
Boone
Boone County
Boone
contacts
County?
Hamilton.
Okay.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah, Boone County contacts Hamilton for shared and then kick back to us for usually.
Oh,
so then they contact us, so then we dispatch Kirkland. So I believe on that, so we dispatch them, but then we also give them an ops channel on Hamilton County. So they can immediately communicate with those on the scene. They were going to Hamilton County. They can still contact us and we can still talk to them. But they can also talk to the on-scene command in Hamilton County for that fire and know exactly where they need to go and what is needed. We couldn't do that before. We could not do that before, and that's very vital for all of us. Not only dispatch, but police, fire, and EMS across the board. Interoperability and being able to communicate, whether it's regionally, locally, it's very important that we are able to do that. Like I said, we are all cross-trained, police, fire, and EMS. We are certified. We are certified EMD, which is emergency medical dispatching. That allows us to give pre-arrival instructions. Unfortunately, like I said about chest pain, many times we have to give CPR instructions, and we are able to do that. And we have great people, and they're all trained. And, you know, those are calls that nobody wants to take, and it takes special people to be a dispatcher. And we have a great group of people, but they're EMD certified, like I said, we are fire certified, and we are law certified. Also after Central Dispatch, we started utilizing Nixle for mass notifications, and that's one of the papers that is in your folder. I was telling Mindy prior to the meeting, if we have a road closure due to an accident or road construction, we sent one out the other day for Kelly Road. It's going to be closed this week. We send that out, and people can, it's free service to anybody. You just have to download the Everbridge app, and we send those out automatically when we have that information. We are also responsible for activating the tornado sirens. We also do the monthly test the first Saturday of each month, so I'm sure if you hear it at 11 o'clock on the first Saturday, that is us doing our 30-second test. And then we also will do a roll call with all of our fire departments. So someone from Kirklin, we will ask if it activated, and if it did not, then we take care of notifying EMA, who takes care of the maintenance on the tornado sirens. So, but we do activate the sirens during a tornado warning, and we do test them to make sure that we want them to work when they're needed. So on the next page, how are the lit funds utilized? So I said earlier, we built the dispatch center in 2010, and we opened in 2011. We pay for all the salary benefits, including medical, dental, and vision. Central Dispatch does not get any money out of county general, so we are self-sufficient. So all of that, the lit money, and then our 911 fees that we receive, all fund Central Dispatch. Nothing comes from county general. Our radio equipment that is utilized in dispatch, we started with new radios, and then as you can imagine, as radios get to end of life, then it's time to replace, and we've replaced the radios. We added 2 backup dispatch positions at the Frankfort Police Department. If we would ever have to evacuate the sheriff's office in an emergency, something happened in the building, we can go to the police department, and we have 2 positions that we can automatically sit down and immediately start dispatching out of. Our 911 administrative phone system, we utilize InDigital is our 911 provider, and so we have gone through 1 round of phones and computers, and we recently, I think a couple of years ago on the next page, it'll tell you what year we updated those. But we had to update those and keep up with technology. We also purchased a Mevo to-go kit, and what that is are 4 portable phones. They're inside a large case that we are able, if we have to evacuate the sheriff's office, we can grab this case as well and take with us. We can have the calls transferred. Boone County is our backup, and they are ours for phones. So in the interim, until we can get set up, we would have all of our calls transferred, or 911 calls transferred to Boone County. We get this system set up, and we can immediately take back all of our 911 lines as well as our administrative lines. So we have that we had purchased. As you can imagine, everything needs to be recorded. Everything that we do is recorded, and so one of that, we are in our 3rd recorder since we've opened, and every telephone line, administrative, and 911s are all recorded, as well as every radio channel that we have, they're recorded. Power phone, total response call handler. So when I told you we are certified as EMD, fire, and law, PowerPhone Total Response is also a protocol for us. So if we add a chest pain call into the computer, it will come up with questions for us that we should be asking, and also helps us with instructions on what you might need to do. Whether it is CPR, maybe somebody has fallen and cut their arm, a fire, there's questions. If it's a hazardous materials incident or a gas leak, there are certain questions and instructions we should do. But it just gives us protocols, it helps us liability-wise, and it allows us to process calls, whether it's Chris answering the phone or somebody else in dispatch or me. we are basically handling the calls very similar to each other. Talked about Nixle already. We also, with the lit funds, Spillman software, I believe, Brendan, do you pay for software for law enforcement here? So your portion, we have a portion that dispatch has to pay for ourselves for our software, the police department, the sheriff's office, everybody does that. We also, the last time a server was purchased, the county purchased that for everybody. So we all share the Spillman server. So that is something that, and that's right now, we are in the process of having to replace the current server. And Chris, help me, 100,000, close to.
168,000, I think, total was the price.
So, again, that's something else that the county has been doing. So the server, because we all use the same system. So that has been done. And also along with that, our IT takes care of all of that. So you don't have to fund anything like that. Crossroads GIS solutions for our CAD mapping. Our CAD mapping had been very outdated. And we went with this company a few years ago. And I can tell you it is pretty outstanding, and it's important for our mapping to be correct. When we are in those vital calls and 911, when we add an address, I need to make sure that that address is a valid address and it comes up. We may have some people, we have newer dispatchers that maybe do not live in Clinton County, not as familiar with the county. We need to make sure that we have accurate addresses, and it is outstanding. It's probably one of the best things as far as like purchases that we could have made. On the fire side of things with Crossroads GIS, so the fire department has what's called box alarms. So if they go on a house fire and they need additional tankers, or they may have a newer fireman and he doesn't know, he just knows that he needs help. He can say, I need the second alarm. We used to have to get a book out, flip through, find the area, and see exactly who. Crossroads has taken all of our box alarms from every fire department in Clinton County that we dispatch for, and they are automatically, within seconds, we can click on our map, we can right click, and it will take us to if it's a structure fire. So within seconds, where before it could have been minutes, going through the books trying to find the right box alarm. We remodeled. In 24, we've remodeled the dispatch center, and we also added a 5th position. So as you can imagine, everybody's getting busier, and we also needed to stay up with the times. We currently have our 5 dispatch positions. We had increased our budget to add 4 dispatchers, so we had always had 16. We had 3 dispatchers on a shift and 1 shift supervisor. And then I was the director, and then a few years ago we added the assistant director's position. We added so that we could go to 20, so we would have 4 dispatchers on a shift plus the 1 supervisor. We're currently at 18, and we feel like we're pretty good. We have 20 in our budget, but we have our last 2 that are in training right now, and we're gonna see how it goes. It gives us a little extra cushion. We're not in dire straits. We went through some rough patches where we had people, sometimes this is not for them. Dispatching is not for the weak. It's a rough job. It takes special people. And some people want to work Monday through Friday and things. And so we had a really rough time. And then in 24, when Chris joined us as assistant director, we kind of started reevaluating things. We have, on the next page, if you want to go to some of our improvements, in 24, we decided to revamp our hiring process. We need to get some good candidates first. And so we revamped our hiring process, our training program, and we are also doing quality assurance. So Chris does our quality assurance for us, so we can make sure that the calls are being handled as we need them to be, that we're following the protocols, that we are documenting everything as they should be. Last year we also applied for our first grant, And with that grant, we asked for 10 portable radios and 2 laptops, so that in the event we needed to leave our building, not only at the police department, we have the 2 positions, but we will have also portable radios, much like what Brendan carries on him, we will have those as well. If Kirklin had an incident out here where we needed to come out, if we were, let's say a tower was taken down, we could still work on TAC channels, but we would have to be in close proximity with you, so we could come out and do those. So we did receive that grant last year, and we were pretty excited about that. You can see over the years, I just kind of gave you a brief. In 23, the Senate Bill 158 was passed for training standards for dispatch. So we already had met all of those requirements, and we were already kind of ahead of the ball game with those. But every year we have to report to the state, and one of those is making sure all of our staff has the appropriate training that they are to have. And then after that page, I just gave you some screenshots. So this page here is what our radio looks like when we're sitting in front of it. It's a computer screen. We have six monitors in front of us. 6 or 5? 7?
I think it's 7 now.
7. So, but the radio is one of them, and that is how we talk to all police, fire, and EMS. The next one, the power phone call handler. So again, like I said, we enter a chest pain call or a breathing call. Those protocols come up, and that's just a screenshot of kind of what it looks like for us. All of those are integrated into our Stillman, so all the questions that we ask and answer, those automatically get pushed into Stillman. So if Brendan, if it's a burglary report or any call, he can see those call notes that we type in, as well as the questions that we answer and ask of people. I know I'm kind of going quickly, but I want to just get through it for you. And one of the things that we've added is called Rapid SOS. And Rapid SOS is a free service that we have signed up to utilize. So if you lived in Kirklin before and your cell phone would triangulate off of the cell tower, I think you have one, just south of town here. So you actually you could, in this area, probably hit us. You could also hit Boone County, or you could probably also hit Hamilton County, just depending on where it's at. And it takes the information from the phone to the cell tower. Rapid SOS takes it from the location services on your phone. And it has been pretty incredible for us. We still verify every time. We verify where people are. But this is just another vital tool for us to be able to utilize to know where people are.
So if I called, it would say that I was at the town hall?
It would show, like it would put a green dot. So I know it's kind of hard to see if you look here. So on this Rapid SOS sheet here, if you see the green dots.
Yeah.
So this one was an intoxicated person that was called in. It was on 39 South, and they were coming north on 39.
Oh, wow.
And as the caller was reporting, we were dispatching and staying on, and then they turned off. I think maybe that's on Reagan Road.
Okay.
So like on 650 South. So they turned and went west, and then they came up.
Okay.
So it will,
Follow you.
yes,
That's
it will
cool.
track. Where
Wow.
the old system, we had to constantly refresh the system, and sometimes it just was not, it was old, you know, and we still have that. But my thing is, it's just incredible how much has changed from 2009. I started dispatching in 90, so I started with a typewriter. So I'm that old, so I've been around a while. If you look at that next page, the example case, I know it's kind of hard to see, and if anybody's familiar with the area of 250 North and 250 East out in the county, I was actually working the desk one day, and 911 rang, and I heard something, but nobody was responding to me, and literally, if you see where that green is, it is out in the middle of a field, out in an open area. And just gut instinct or whatever, I just felt like something's off. They didn't answer. I went ahead and added a call and asked the officers. I told them where it was showing, plotting. You know, clearly it was like a quarter mile off. It was a ways off the road, way off the road. They get out there. The person had crashed. They'd actually gone off the road, hit trees, like they were way off the road. Nobody would have probably seen them for quite some time. So, you know, but it was just like, to me, that just, for me, being the one answering that call that day and seeing that, and it was spot on. I took a picture of it and sent it to the officers out there, and they're like, that's exactly where it was. So, you know, it's really a vital tool that we use daily. So, and then the next is a couple of pictures of our remodel. We're kind of like in a horseshoe, but we do have the 5 positions. We also have monitors up on the wall. We have cameras inside the courthouse in case there are ever any issues in the courthouse. We have cameras at Old Stony, at Prairie Creek Park, TPA Park, the city police department. So it just gives us eyes into some of those buildings where there may be, you know, more people, and then there would ever be an issue. It gives us, you know, eyes in there to take a look at things and see what's going on. But please, if you have any questions, feel free. I put in my closing thoughts, Central Dispatch is the hub of all public safety, and we couldn't do it without all of your help. The city, the county, the towns, everybody plays a vital part in that. And having the funding to continue with Central Dispatch is so important. Somebody has to answer those calls. Somebody has to be able to dispatch Brendan to those calls, to Shane, to the fire department, to EMS. And we have to have good staff. They're trained well. We keep up on the training. It's a very vital piece of the puzzle, of a big puzzle. And I'm proud of the way Central Dispatch, how we handle things. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. You know, I know, like I said, I've gone quickly, and I wanted to make sure I had everybody have one of this, so if you know, need to go back and look at things.
Does anybody have any questions for Renee or any comments?
I can understand how tough that would be as a dispatcher, especially a younger person. I've actually had them hang up on me, argue with me. I called in several years ago out here at the curve. I said, there's a guy who didn't negotiate the curve right and he crashed a motorcycle. And well, I need an address, sir. I said, these fields don't have addresses on them. Well, I need an address. I said, I'm a quarter mile west of Dr. Bush's house. I don't know no Dr. Bush.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like you and I would know Dr. Bush, and many people don't.
I told this young lady, I said, if you'll dispatch us that way, I'm sure an officer knows where Dr. Bush lives. I said, tell him from Frankfurt, tell him leave Antioch and head towards Kirklin. When they see an old white-haired old man standing beside a guy laying all skinned up, they know to stop. If they leave Kirklin, tell them head west, tell them the same thing. She didn't like it. And then one lady said, what phone number are you calling from? I said, you don't need to tell me you don't know my phone number. If I hang up, you're going to call me right back. I said, look on your screen or something.
Gary, we always verify. One of the things, if you call 911, where is your emergency? Even if it's showing where you're at, we are going to verify that address. We're also going to verify your phone number. We have to do that. That's our protocols that we follow.
Screen?
Sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't, depending on whether you call 911 or an app.
I told this lady, I said, this is a different deal. I called where there was a tree down in the road and it was still dark. She said, well, what's your phone number? I said, look on your screen. Well, I'm supposed to ask you that. I said, well, if you already see it and you know I'm talking to you, you know what number I'm calling from. She finally hung up on me. Well, whatever. I said, the questions like that, when you call in and the adrenaline's kind of up anyway, you see something wrong, then they start quizzing you about stuff and you're not thinking they're going to hit a button and somebody's already being dispatched. You think, why you ask me all these stupid questions when you get somebody rolling?
So, because it is important for us to ask those questions, because they need to know if somebody has been trapped in a vehicle. We will continue to ask questions, even though we're not holding up the dispatch, and we should be telling you, my partner's dispatching the ambulance or the fire department. I'm going to stay on the phone and continue to ask you questions, because there's information, if it's a fight or domestic, Brendan needs to know if there's weapons involved, things like that. So there's lots of questions that it's important for us to ask. And it's important because it's for their safety and not only your safety as well.
I know everything goes into data. I know that. Yeah. But what's your birthday? What's my birthday? I called down because there's a tree
Because
in the
if we
middle
have,
of the road.
so, you have
And
a
she
son named Jerry as
She
well,
said, that's what
correct?
she said. She
Yes.
said, there's 2 Jerry Fawcett's in this
Correct.
county. I said, no, there isn't. There's 3.
So, but we, those are the things that we ask. And those are important things because also there could be like I don't know, I'm just gonna say Tom Smith. How many Tom Smiths do you think we have? You don't wanna be mixed up with the wrong one. You know, we want to make sure we have the correct one when we ask those things. So those are very important questions that we ask, so that we have the correct
Well, that's a good-
information for,
That's
you
good
know, whether it's
information though.
police, yes.
That's the
Yeah.
lady hung up on me. She didn't think any question
I
was too
find it
important. Yeah.
beneficial because it ties on the call, so that person can do previous calls
Yes,
or what medical
correct.
runs have been here
Yes,
before.
so we can go back
If
to
I
it.
see something wrong, I call somebody, you know, and do you want it known that you've called in so many times over the years? What makes a difference?
But we don't give that information out, but it's important for, you know, if it's a domestic, you know, they wanna know, because we have new officers all the time, and they may not know
And I
these
think-
people.
I
And
trust-
so, like, you know, we can look and see, we were just there day shift, or 2 days ago, they were there on a domestic, and now we're going back again.
And I had a man hang up on me several years ago. I told you about that. I called in wee hours in the morning. I said, sir, there's a house on fire at 500 block of North Pike. Oh, sir, thank you for calling, but that's already been called in. It's 500 block of West Pike. I said, please don't hang up. I ain't asking you, I'm telling you. There is no West Pike. It's 500 block of North Pike. I know it is. I own the house next door to it. And he hung up on me. And then I'm hearing fire trucks all around. And the guy that Doug O'Connor, his son-in-law's nephew, comes over and he said, well, Jerry, where's your fire trucks at? There's a fire, and you can hear fire trucks all around. I thought, well, surely Kirklin guys will know. And I know what they did. They looked at the Google, and it comes in from the east and stops there at the church, and then Jefferson Street. They's calling Jefferson Street West Pike. I said, hey, they know West Pike. Well, he wanted to argue with me. Finally, he hung up on me. Well, whatever. One guy shows up, finally, from Hillsburg or Kempton or something, and he was drunk, staggered up there, and I said, bud, there's nobody home. There's nobody in there. That guy's a single guy. He's in Florida right now. I don't want you to risk your life. He walks around there real slow, and I thought, well, that's a good idea. Turn the propane tank off. After they left, I went, he didn't even have it half turned off. And then I told the boys, they got the chainsaw out to cut a hole in the roof. I said, you need to fire that thing up and it always starts different. Then another truck shows up, and they did the same thing. Finally, one got their chainsaw started and had to make sure it'll start before they went up there. But just, and I realized, volunteer, you're out pounding some beers down, you go lay down, you're gonna get a call in the middle of the night, you know, I thought
I'm
that.
very thankful for every single volunteer we have in Clinton County.
When I lived in Sheridan, I come in drunk in a skunk one night, and I flopped down to bed, I was 0 out. About that time, the siren went off, and I thought, man, I'm glad nobody's depending on me for safety, you know. But, you know.
We couldn't do fire and EMS without our volunteers. They're very vital.
Oh,
They
important.
are a
Yeah.
very vital part of Clinton County.
Did anybody else have any questions for Renee before she?
Chris,
closes?
you
So,
wanna-
so Renee, this seeded money, or PS Lowit, they used to call it, are we paying what all the other towns are paying?
It's 25%.
That's what everybody's agreed to.
So the agreement still shows 50%, but it's been 25% for the last few years.
We need to have a new agreement?
Mhm.
Do we need to have a new agreement?
Alan's not here tonight, so I'm sure, as you all know, with Senate Bill 1, everything's changing for all of us, every single one of us, the towns, dispatch, like everybody. So, I don't know if we do. I mean, it would be for, what, a year? Because it's, Senate Bill starts in 27, so, if I see Alan on the second, I mean, I think this agreement continues on unless somebody, just as it sunsets. it continues on unless somebody, you know, in
Maybe we just
writing.
keep it rolling and
Yes.
go till they or shut it off. Or,
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, but, so yeah, it's at 25%, and I wish I knew why it was at 25, which is better for all of you, obviously. But yeah, this agreement is the only one that I had, and it's the only one that the auditor had.
Okay.
Do you wanna add anything?
Jay, do you think a new agreement will be wrote up for the 25%?
I mean, I understand her concern that in a year or two, they might have to come back and ask for more money.
Well,
But on the other hand, I do believe that your agreement should be what you're actually doing. And for that reason, I think it would be better to do a 1 or a 2 year agreement. And then when we know how things shake out, because I also think there may be some changes to all that in the next.
there's, boy, it's.
There's a lot of people upset.
Yes,
So we
sure,
would have
sure.
to-
So
we have to
that would be
talk with
something that
Alan.
I would have to get with Alan, and he was going to
Okay.
be here, I'm sure he's in the fields tonight.
Yeah.
I should see him, actually tomorrow at the council meeting,
Okay.
unless he's not there, so I will,
You can ask him then if you want,
Yes,
because
yes.
Mary King's off,
yes,
so.
yes, yeah, so absolutely.
Anyway, that's my thought, is that yes, it ought to be changed, but I also understand why you don't want to have a long-term change.
Yeah, because we don't know
Right,
what's gonna
because
happen.
I think for all of us, everything's a big question mark of unknown, honestly. But do you have anything on the fire side of things, or Brendan for law side to add that?
Rapid SOS has been huge, we do that location to our responding, so we can see it on our
Yes.
phones. Our call questions to our phones, we see all that before we hop in the truck.
Okay.
I think it's a really good point to like your concern when you're like trying to tell somebody where you're at. Rapid SOS is huge because before with the triangulation, we might get a circle that's it might be a mile wide over an area, and it's like that's essentially useless trying to find where you're at. But with rapid, it's pinpoint. I can see where you're walking around the
Yes.
house,
Yes.
right? Like if you flip over your vehicle and you're on the side of the road, I can see what side of the road you're on. So it is a huge advancement, and I think it'll address a lot of concerns like that, where you're like, I don't know how to tell you where I'm at, this is just where I am,
Yeah,
right?
there's no
And-
addresses,
Yeah.
just fields
Yeah.
and.
Right.
So
Well,
the
as an
technology's so
example,
great in
you know,
that
10
now.
miles of the interstate go through
Yeah.
Clinton County.
Yeah.
People do not know, they don't look at mile markers, and all they can tell us is we are somewhere between Indianapolis, and they may say Lafayette if we're lucky, most of the time it's Indianapolis and Chicago. They don't know,
But they're
people
leaving
don't
Frankfurt.
know. For as great as technology is, I know my directions, I know which way I'm headed, many people do not. And the advancement in technology made people not, because they put it in their phones or their cars, the navigation, and so they turn left and right and they have no idea where they don't know their directions, which way they're headed. They rely on that, and so when you ask them, you know, are you headed west or east? I don't know. Okay, all right, so like if we're on 26, you know, okay, are you heading to Kokomo or are you heading to Lafayette? Oh yeah, I'm heading to Lafayette, okay, you're westbound. You know, so those are the things that we have to ask people, you know, to figure out. So we're the Rapid SOS now, we usually.
Really helps,
it's-
yeah.
Yeah. So, but, and anytime, anybody, I put on there Chris's email, my email, a lot of you have my number, call me anytime. Anytime you wanna stop down and see dispatch, give me a call. We love to show it off. It's really impressive, and we're glad to have it, and so anybody's welcome to come down anytime.
Okay. All right, thank you, Renee.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Chris, for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for all the details.
I know, sorry I was rambling, but I was
No,
wanting to get through
it's
it for
perfect.
you, and I know you still have a lot of meeting
Nope,
to
you're
do,
fine.
so. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
We're gonna start with old business next. Our first item is, we have to, approve our 2026 budget. So we have an ordinance to pass for that. And Carla's got the ordinance for us to sign and everything. Would anyone want to entertain a motion to pass our 2026 budget?
I'll make a motion that we pass the 26 budget.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second by Brent.
Made the motion, I seconded it.
I said, go for the motion, I'm sorry.
For the budget.
Yeah, I did the motion, sorry.
Walt made a motion for the budget and then Brent second.
Thank you.
And all those in favor of passing, ordinance 2025-10-1, raise your right hand. And motion carries for the ordinance.
I apologize. Can I interrupt for one more minute?
Yes, go
I
ahead.
forgot. So now I'm putting on my EMA hat.
Go
If you
ahead.
didn't know, I am also now the EMA director for Clinton County. And I'm gonna leave this is for the town. So every 5 years, it's required by FEMA that we have to do our multi-hazard mitigation plan, and it has to be updated. And part of that requirement are 2 meetings. One is set in November and one is gonna be in January. And if any city, town, or county ever anticipates on wanting to get a FEMA grant for any multi-hazard, you have to participate.
Okay,
And it is just 2 meetings. So the first meeting is November 5th, and it's
okay,
at the Frankfort Police Department, and I'm gonna leave this with you. And there are 2 papers that you can bring to that meeting, and just one person needs to attend the meeting.
okay.
Anybody can attend, and there's just some questions on there. Answer them to the best of your ability. Some of them may be questions for like Billy, if he has certain things like with the water and things in
Okay.
here. If you have any questions, let me know, but I wanted to leave
Okay.
that today. So
All right.
I apologize,
No,
since I
that's
got
fine.
that, that's why I had it yellow,
No
so I didn't
problem.
forget.
Okay.
What time is it?
1 o'clock,
Afternoon?
yes, yes.
Okay.
And it'll be at the Frankfort Police, yes, I'm sorry.
That'd be a perfect
So-
dispatch, see? Afternoon?
No, I'll make sure we get that.
So, yes, if you have any questions.
Okay.
So, all right, thank you, I apologize.
Yep, thanks Renee. Our next, old business is, our sanitary sewer rehabilitation project. We have 2, invoices in our, packet. Just those up there. Put this up here so no one loses it. We have a Commonwealth invoice in the amount of $4,110.94. And then we have a, another invoice, it was actually a pay app in the amount of $136,855.22. So I make a motion that we, pass both of these to approve for payment and sign.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is the bridge, and Dave Harness is here this evening, and Sherry Stowers.
Thank you. Last time we were here for the board, I believe we wanted to break out and have meetings with some individuals from the town council. And we met 3 times, once with Craig and Jerry, once with just Jerry, once with just Craig. and discussed the lease agreement, the construction and things like that, threw around some budget numbers. We've submitted the lease agreement, a construction agreement, we've separated those two. And I understand that there's been some, we've gone over those documents quickly, made some revisions, so I just wanted to see what any outstanding things there might be, any major hurdles, obstacles at this time, as well as we've been discussing the electrical upgrades for the park as part of the project. It's not something that's going to be a deal breaker, but it's something that would delay our project considerably, because it's about 15% of our entire build project is that increase to 800 amps. So.
I had some thoughts regarding this. First of all, there was a provision that said this is binding on all future town council. You can't do that legally. As to, you could have a long-term lease, and that is legal. What you can't do is say, we're going to commit the town council to accommodate, to put in their budget in future years payments. In other words, you can't make a binding agreement for the town council to pay certain expenses beyond this town council term. It's budget to budget.
Okay.
So, in other words, like, and the place where I saw it probably the most was, on the, on some of the expenses, and then it was, and then, well, we'll agree later on how we're gonna allocate rental fees. What you could do is you could say, well, the lease could provide that the rental fees for that building always go to, and the town council has no obligation to pay for those other things. Now, that puts the bridge at more risk if you don't get the other rental fees. On the other hand, if you do get more rental fees than anticipated, you might come out ahead. But that, the town council can enter into a lease where you say, well, you get the rental income from the building you built on our property. That could be done. For you to say, we're going to pay the utilities in the future, that has to be appropriated each year. So that would be, you can't bind, maybe 5 different people. They're going, wait a minute, we never agreed to this. Well, the Indiana statutes say you can't bind your successors. So that was, there were some things also on the insurance. I didn't have a problem with what you did. I just thought there was another thing you needed to do. You need to have, somebody needs to be responsible for the builder's risk insurance. Insurance was another area where you allocated that expense, I think, to the town. And again, that would be a problem of, it would have to be done each year. You can't say you can never change that.
Coverage of the building itself?
Yeah.
The town already takes care of the insurance for the buildings.
Well, and you could have in the lease that you're going to, well, here's the problem, is the town could say, we're not going to insure this building anymore. I don't know that that would be very wise, but, the town isn't mandated necessarily to insure every piece of property that it owns necessarily. So that's an area also that could be addressed. It probably needs to be addressed somehow. And I'm not trying to shift expense to, I'm just trying to, the other, I do think that in the construction phase, somebody needs to have responsibility for for the insurance during the construction period. It's called builder's risk insurance. So we need to make, that way,
We already have insurance, so I'm not sure that would be a problem for us to add that, correct, Dave? I mean-
Well, it'd be a totally separate
but
policy.
it's
But
a
another
different policy.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
but we can already ask for that,
The-
yeah.
This covers, if the building gets damaged during construction, if
Yeah, we would.
they dropped
we would
off
take that
the furnace and somebody comes and steals it,
Yeah, correct, yeah,
yeah, all those kind of things.
yeah.
Vandalism, so somebody needs to have builder's risk insurance. I'm big on inspections, both during construction and in advance of construction. And this comes from my, I spent a lot of time representing a bank in construction lending.
Okay.
And I can tell you there's a church in this county that didn't like the idea of having to do or I think the loan officer actually didn't like the idea of having to ask the church to spend, and I think at that time it was $1,500, and it may be more now. But, and so there's an expert that looks at your plans and looks at, and he'll look at it as, first of all, will it work? Second of all, can you do it for that price? And then in this case, the church found out that no, there's a real problem. You can't build it that way. It's not going to pass. So they went back, and before they'd started the construction, they had to change their plans and solved it. And they came back later and said, "Thank you. We're really glad you asked us to do that." So I do believe in that. We'd have to find out how much it would be. The other thing you can do, and I think this is maybe less important, but you always have to worry about contractors getting ahead of you in terms of having they're giving you more bills than they've actually done work. And the same company that there's others, but this is the one I know the most. They go in and they look at it, and they say, yeah, this is done, this is done, this is done, this is done. Yes, approve that draw. Or they say, this isn't done, and by the way, that wasn't right, so you got to change that. And so don't pay as much as they ask. So that's another service. That would be something probably not for the town to mandate. I guess it's more of a thing that I would suggest you consider.
And so you'll give us a name or a company for that, because that is beyond the regular checks that we have to have going along.
Sure,
That
yeah.
someone
And
has to
I can tell you, I can get you a name and a telephone
I know, but
number.
I'm sitting here from a standpoint knowing that Dave Harness is in
Yeah.
engineering, and I think that between him and Bill, they're gonna be on top of that project checking.
And that may be, but I don't know what kind of engineering he does too.
Well,
I mean,
that's
it's
true.
one thing to,
Geotechnical.
Geotech.
is he in
Yes.
construction?
Oh, yeah.
That's,
Okay,
yes,
okay,
that's why
yeah.
I was like,
So,
I feel confident with,
Well, and
Yeah.
that very well be
Yeah.
maybe that you don't need that.
we need it, I was just prepared to do it myself.
Okay.
Site prep, verification, geotechnical if required. I
Yeah.
know there's
Yes, don't be a
various
victim of construction.
Right.
fraud.
school out there, and
That's
then
why I was-
draws. Our company worked with First Indiana Construction for years. That's all they do
That's
is,
who I was talking about.
Yeah.
Rob French?
yeah,
Yeah.
they used to be with the company I was with. So,
Okay. Okay.
so, no, I appreciate those are all great points and things because you're right, you can really put a lot of stress on the budget if you don't prepare and you get caught sideways.
Yeah.
are you gonna make changes to those documents, or,
Yeah. I was.
okay, Cause we were wanting to try to get those signed, like, when can we get those signed then? We're
Well,
gonna have to wait.
I didn't get these till Friday late afternoon.
And I sent you the Word document today. Okay.
And I got it to my secretary at 4:30.
That's okay.
What have you been
So
doing?
we're about three pages out of the 8.
Um,
And I put them back together as one document.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't really care, but I saw it, and I changed the order so we sort of went sequential.
And one thing I'll say, you brought up the rental of the facility versus the payment of utilities and things like that. You know, in a hierarchy of things, the rent and the use of the building is fairly low compared to the town paying for utilities, you know, the building. So that's a consistent cost, and it may end up being, like you said, you may rent it out quite a bit, and it may cover itself expense-wise, or at least cover a portion of that. So,
And you could have in the lease a provision that says, we're gonna pay it's sort of one where you give it with one hand and you take it away with the other. It says, we're gonna pay the utilities, but, oh, by the way, this provision is not enforceable on future,
So where does
Town
that
councils.
figure in with, did we have something that we would revisit it, look it over like every
Yes.
5 years? So
Yeah,
does
no,
that
no,
help
no.
that at all, or it's
well,
still,
you really need from year to year, because
Okay.
you don't budget for 5 years.
okay,
okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
yeah, so if some reason the budget didn't go through, the board decides not to fund for the utilities, then the building use is pretty much non-existent. It's not habitable unless someone else picks up the tab for utilities.
Well, and there's, the other thing is, to the extent it's being used by other people, and it's generating income and that's where, you know. And I don't know how much, and I don't know whether you would separately meter, because part of the building really won't even be used at all by the bridge, right? The concession stand?
The concession and then the existing block building, bathroom building.
Yeah.
They'll be fed separately and have their separate meters.
Okay.
So, right. And did anyone have any questions on the electrical portion? I know Jerry and.
The only thing I didn't understand was that 30,000 or 60, it had 30
Yeah.
twice. I didn't.
30,000 is the approximate cost that we got from the electrician to do the inside of the bridge and
Okay.
the concession, just to wire that, lights, electrical, things like that. The additional 30,000 was from Duke to drop a new service line from the pole near the Fiberhawk building.
Yes, Fiberhawk,
To
yeah.
run it, we would have to, that includes the cost of running it underground, putting a transformer next to the building. Right now, all of the electrical comes in overhead to that little block building. There's, I don't know, just a bird's nest full of wires. It would take all that underground, run the service up into the building, and then run it back to the pole for the 3 service drops for Kirk's Crossing. And because I know Kirk's Crossing every year, there's always some, you know, on the fly electrical work being done because there's not enough juice at the building. So to provide the 300 for the Kirk's Crossing, and I believe 100 for the block building, 200 and 200. Yeah, it's 800. So 800 amps. The problem is the distribution panels are pretty pricey, and we're trying to find one that's used. And so that totals up with the trenching, the Duke costs and the materials, the transformer and everything.
So it really is 60, 30 of which you were always figuring.
We thought 30 for the building, but then when we started adding up and realizing there's not enough power to run just the bridge and the concession stand there, let alone the block building. And so if you could have it, which I don't think the town would want that if this project goes through, where, oh, Kirk's Crossing is coming up, well, we just shut the building off and run Kirk's Crossing outside. I mean, that's.
I was thinking about that too, after we had our talk. That line that goes to that first pole, is there a box on that pole that separates them other poles? Or is it just one line feeds three different plugs out there for our vendors? Because that's something that we, as a board, should look at, is updating poles, because eventually we're gonna have more vendors out there. So that needs to be in the equation, so we don't run back into the same thing, and we need to have more plugs out there for more trailers and vendors in the future, because it is gonna grow.
Not only is it growing, but their power needs are changing.
The power needs are changing, so there's a lot more in the picture too besides the bridge. We need to think about the park too, so we don't have to address this again in
So
2 years.
Right, 800 would just service what you have now
Mhm.
without things blowing during that. But if you were gonna increase it, there may be a different solution or another solution as well. Maybe running 600 to this and running a separate line back there for.
Right, and it could be just as much as getting another panel box amped up with the power out there and not running new lines yet, not that cost, but having that first pole ready to take on if we need to expand different locations with plugins for concessions and stuff out
Well,
in
and
the
with
future.
that, deciding if you're charging the person coming in, the trailer coming in, because a lot of them now come with their own generators too. So how's that work? Because if we're providing the electricity, hopefully, it would be at a higher rental fee for them.
Yeah, though, a lot of them, they use their own generator, but, the convenience of plugging in is a lot easier
Sure.
for them. You got some that are sticklers and use their generator.
We had some on Saturday's event that used electrical, and they had to have two 110s. So we had to plug them into two different locations because one plug-in wasn't working.
Blown breakers.
So,
But out there, I know we only got a few plug-ins, and there's a lot of cords that go to one plug-in, and that's a big no-no too out there. So I'm just saying, if we do decide to go with the electrical, us as Kirkland need to think about how we're gonna upgrade that first run for future. So we wanna get the right line to that pole.
Possibly.
That has nothing to do with you guys.
Right, so you could possibly,
Just let-
we could piggyback and run in maybe the same trench and then Y off, and you have a transformer, we have a transformer, and take it from there.
okay.
That's all part of it. Be cheaper to do it
Something to
now
think
than
about,
later.
right?
And again, that problem, that isn't in other words, you can agree to pay that expense now. You just need to put it in your budget for this coming budget or
Next year.
appropriate it.
For next year,
Yeah. It's when you're making
Saying 20
promises
years
of
from
what
now.
you're gonna do for 20 years.
Right.
What about the construction part of it? We want two different agreements, correct? Construction, because once construction's over,
Well,
then we're done with
He just
that.
mentioned that he's trying to recombine those. We had originally had a
I
combined.
mean, I can break it out again, and I don't really have a problem with that, except for they flow naturally from one end to the other,
Okay,
They're somewhat interconnected.
sure. We just didn't know if it was gonna be too much for later, if you're like, okay, these first 5 pages doesn't apply anymore because it is constructed. But if it's best to leave it together. What do you think on timeline for us to be able to be ready to move forward with it sound legally?
Oh, I
And
mean,
do
I
we have
think
to
I
have
can.
more meetings
I mean,
before we can sign,
or-
so we can get going on money?
That's one of the questions I had, is when I read this, it had that it had to be done no later than Kirk's Crossing. And I was wondering whether you really meant that the construction wasn't supposed to start before Kirk's Crossing. Which is it? Were you planning on
I think
doing
it was to start after Kirk's Crossing.
This year.
This year.
Because it
Things have
said
been held up.
no later than.
Right. Yeah, so that should be changed.
It wouldn't, the
Yeah.
construction would be such that it would not interfere with First Crossing.
Yes.
What we had before.
So now we can push it to before Kirk's Crossing now.
But just such that it does not interfere
Since
with,
it's
you're right.
passed, but
That really could be taken out at this point. We can really take that statement out.
So
We just wanted
Crossing.
everyone to know that we're not gonna have the place torn up during First Crossing.
Yeah.
If we didn't have to,
Right.
so.
And it has a provision in there about it's always available during
Yes.
that Kirk's Crossing time period.
That's in there. Sure.
Yeah.
Sherry, what were your thoughts on?
My thing is just, we need to, and I know we've all been working towards it, but get it done and get those signatures so we can start more with the fundraising. So,
We do have the proposal, and I don't know if we've signed that and sent it back yet, but with KJG out of West Lafayette, they're gonna be the design architects and do the drawings and state submittals, and probably Kinley Horn for site civil work layout, just to make sure all that's good from that standpoint. And we assume site pad prep, we had to demo the building, of course, and all that adds up with the construction costs. The site work and the plans and permits, we're kind of at $260 roughly. That includes the $30,000 for the upgraded electrical service. So we could be, basically the shell itself is about 200, 210.
You got any leeway in there for unforeseens, since there was an old building there in that area?
The type of building, the pole barn, is
Get through the pole?
yeah.
Get through the pole?
As long as we get through it, it should be okay.
Get the pole. No.
They are gonna use, the concrete posts, so we'll have no wood going below grade, like the building is now, where you can just stick a screwdriver through the posts, so.
Yeah.
So we build to last, it'll
Yeah.
last for years to come, yeah. So Jay, what are your thoughts on,
I
like, do
think,
we have to wait till next meeting?
I mean, you could call it a special meeting too.
Would you just let us know like when you have stuff ready then, and then we can,
I'll have stuff ready by the end of the week.
okay?
Yeah,
I mean-
like Sherry said, our primary goal is to be, when we nail these numbers down, is to go and fundraise and know that we have the okay. We can't do that until we have the okay, and so.
Yeah, we can't ask for money until we have signatures, so.
Okay, so what we're gonna doing is the signings for the 30,000?
No, we're not talking about that money. The bridge wants to have a document signed saying that the council is in favor of the construction and the lease for
Agrees
the
on that
bridge.
lease, yeah.
Yes, before we go and
Right.
ask for fundraising, so.
You know, before you had like the bridge requests the town to consider funding the additional cost of electrical upgrades. Is it possible to make that a pretty firm number? I would think that would be better for the town to,
Sure.
you know, in other words,
so say upgrades of 30,000 or upgrades of, is that?
Yeah, because we were in discussions with Duke, and when they came back, and actually we thought they were gonna raise their price, actually dropped it a little bit. And part of that cost is that distribution panel, so if we find one used, that's gonna be,
so
to be, we could have a.
like a not to
Right,
exceed
not to exceed number.
is what would,
Would that be
I got a blank
30,000?
right here
Is
now.
that 30,000 then, Dave?
260.
Yeah, I don't think it would exceed 30.
30,000.
30, not
Yeah.
to,
I mean, hopefully it's closer to 25.
I'd rather have that not to exceed 30, just to have that
Sure.
cushion there, just to.
Like I said, it's not necessarily a hurdle we can't jump over, it's just gonna take longer to accomplish that, so.
But yeah, we were looking at probably 20. I don't know what the going rate is now on percent that's gonna add to, because it's always higher than you.
If Jay would let me know the documents are ready and if I would be able to call a special meeting, if I only had like 3 people, would I think I could get maybe 3 people to come and sign the documents, or probably? Like if it was Monday to Wednesday or something, or anywhere in there? Okay. I think I could get enough people to just to sign it, so we just have to have a quorum. So, yeah, we'll see what we can do on that to try to, so you can start fundraising. So.
Yes.
We also want to get back with our architect too, because they were holding for them too. We gotta let them know, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jay.
We want to reallocate right now you have the meeting and a sort of an agreement to agree on how, you would use the rental payments.
Yeah.
We want to, we could say the rental payments shall be applied first to payment of all utility expenses, second to other things that were going to be city expenses or town expenses.
The reason why I wanted like maybe the rent to come through the town is because it's a town building and Carla has a calendar on the website and you can look to see if it's available and then you can rent it, you have to pay tax. So if they pay it up here, they can get a receipt for the payment here. And no one has to meet them, they can pay it up here at the town hall.
I think
Where they pay it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, I think he's talking about.
I'm talking about who gets it.
Right, use the rental money to pay
The
the
town,
utilities
just
for.
get paid to the town. So the town would
But
get the
how,
funding.
But
he's saying how to allocate the rental money. Like first goes to pay the utilities that the towns are paying.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then the extra would go into what, the parks fund or the building fund or something
Yeah,
like that.
I'm just
for
saying it
future.
goes to the town already, so that's however the town will allocate it, but it would just go to the town.
But he's asking if that's something maybe we want into the.
because now you have it say, well, we're gonna get together after 5 years, because right now, for the first 5 years, all the rental comes to the bridge. The way you had it.
I thought we had it to
We
the
have changed
town.
that in the meantime. I don't know if it's still on there.
Do we have it to the bridge or to the town?
To the town.
It
The
goes
rental-
to the rental goes
Rental
to the
income
town.
should be
That's not
done.
what it said.
And
We
the
sent you the
document that
wrong
you sent
thing.
him should be to the town.
We'll just change it.
Maybe we sent you the
Yeah, I'm
wrong
sorry.
document.
Revise it.
After
Yeah.
all of the meetings and everything, I just said, let's just divide this. If the town's gonna pay utilities, you get all the rent from the building. That was our thinking.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll make it so all the rental income comes to the town, and the town will, and that the town will appropriate that to be used for rental purposes. To pay utilities.
Or expenses, I
Yeah,
don't know.
and other expenses.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
I think all the rent
insurance.
that comes from that building should be set somewhere to go back in that building if it ever has to. Don't you
Yeah,
think?
yeah.
You know, utilities first, and then whatever's in the pile, something happens, we got something to maintain it or
I
or
think,
whatnot, and it doesn't go somewhere else.
Well,
I
and then
think
we were
it's
thinking
kind of-
too that you guys will be in charge of keeping the restrooms stocked and cleaned and, like
Say
that,
what?
just the same as. But, that would be so much easier than us trying to go, well, we used it 2 times, so we owe you 3 rolls of toilet paper. And like,
I
That
think
doesn't
it's
work,
just
yeah.
different
You're
wording.
correct.
I can see where he would think, but it's,
well, and that's what we were originally thinking too, so.
yeah, but it's supposed to be, it's just, everything's supposed to go to the town because they're scheduling it, so.
So who's gonna be paying for cleaning the building?
Well, I mean, we'll clean it before and after our activities. If there's rental income, like for a reception or something like that, and they leave it all dirty.
That's what,
That would be
We
like
could
renting
do
this
that.
out, like
We
you
could
found
do that.
Deposit?
we
Yeah.
could do the same thing we do here, is like, you have like a checklist that you get, and you have to leave it the way you found it. So like if you have to do the trash, clean the windows, empty the trash in the restrooms. So there's a
Right.
checklist, like you have to do the same thing there in that same building.
And
We
even,
have an agreement.
right, and
and
even
a
like
damage
here,
deposit.
we should maybe look into something. This is what it costs to rent a building, but we should also have a different, cleaning deposit that they come back and get, because so many times they leave and they don't clean stuff. This way, they have to.
No, we have
if they pay by credit card, you've got their credit card number, you just charge the
Well, right,
card.
we still should have a deposit. We have a
We
cleaning,
do.
we have a cleaning service.
We have a damage deposit, that all falls under the same thing.
Yeah.
And
We don't.
and they get that back, so.
If they don't comply, then we can keep it.
You can use it for both.
Yes,
Yeah.
so,
'Cause I know
we could
sometimes
do
you
the
get
same thing
stuff
over
where
there. And if you're worried about utilities at the park, at the new building, we can put locks on the thermostats. There's ways around that if you're worried someone's gonna leave doors open or turn the air up and heat up and down. You can put locks on thermostats to control that.
Well, the other thing you could do
So-
is if it's the town's building, which it is, and let's say the bridge is there 60% of the time, 70% of the time, is then you would allocate the utilities 60%, based on usage. So we could change the utilities that the bridge will pay its proportionate share of the utilities.
Percentage of time, how do you calculate that? Based on a 24-hour day? We'll take that.
1 a.m.
No, I mean,
Getting tougher all the time, isn't it?
oh, no, I mean, if per month, if we use it for 12 hours or 15 hours, that's a pretty small percentage of the number of hours in a month. So I think we'd be okay with that. But if you say, well, it was rented 3 times and you guys used it 4 times, you pay 60% of the utilities.
Yeah.
I'm not on board with that.
Well, and you'll have to think too of what you're charging for the rental, because if it was rented 3 times, but it was to 4-H and to whatever, something you don't charge for. So, but that's stuff you guys would have to decide, just as you do here. How often do you give it
But
out
something we
free?
don't charge for, can we do that as a deduction? Not like if we.
You don't pay tax. You don't need deductions.
So-
Yeah.
Okay. I'm learning,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
you know how people give donations or whatever, that doesn't work with the town.
Well, if you make a donation to the town, that can be a tax deduction for the person who's making the donation.
Well, if we donate use of the facility, that has there's nothing the town can, nothing,
I mean, town doesn't pay any taxes.
right?
So, yeah, that doesn't help the town, other than, it's good for the community.
Okay. Are we have anything else on this, Jaden?
I think that's pretty,
Okay. Anybody else before I move on? Okay. Did you have something, Jerry, or?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna move on, and some of our next few items, like the park, Billy's not here, I don't think we have anything else to discuss on the park. Dave or Sherry, you guys done, or? You guys okay? Okay.
Thank you.
And we have stormwater on here.
I just wanna skip that.
The only thing I was gonna mention to everyone, I talked to, I got an email from Amy, our grant administrator, and I'm gonna take a call with her on Thursday with Jerry White. And I think it's gonna be at like 1 o'clock on Thursday. So she told me, I can't find my document that I wanted right now. Isn't that crazy? She said they did not give out any grants for stormwater. They only gave them to certain things. So this didn't surprise her that we didn't get one. So here it is. Okra didn't fund any infrastructure projects. They only funded 2 comprehensive plans, and that was it. So Jerry White is going to follow up with Amy and I on Thursday at 1. So I'll see if I can get any additional information or thoughts from him to help with future projects. So, and I can let you guys know next meeting maybe what they suggest. So, but that's all I'm going to say on stormwater then.
Did anybody meet with Dan Sheets this past week?
I didn't. Did you? You can't find him hardly, can you? Okay.
No. And they were supposed to get back with Billy on the cameras and that, and I've not heard nothing yet on that, so,
And then he's gone
yeah.
on vacations. We don't have an update on
I
that.
didn't know if Drew even went over and met with him.
We have a permit to attach into that county drain from Dan's sheets right there.
But the county
Mel
drain's
and Drew.
pretty much
Okay.
plugged though,
It's
isn't
an 8-inch drain, it's 4 inches plug. But during the heaviest rainstorm, I was over there, and where that drain inlet is across the street, it was taking everything that rain gave. So the 4 inches is, I would say it's probably not 4, but the drain is still taking a lot of capacity of water. So as far as their problem, it'll take care of. Now at, what's the name of the apartments? That's the one that we.
Sunshine Manor.
That's what we're gonna have to get addressed, of them, somebody in there jetting that out to county to get that to work properly.
And that is a county ditch.
Yes, and them drains are ran to that county drain, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I'll try to remember to go over and find out when the next drainage board meeting is. Cause it's a certain day
Okay.
of the,
Right.
of the month each.
Okay. And just let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
Let someone know.
I wanna go, I know if Mindy can go, she'll go. Right?
Okay.
There's multiple problems around, as everybody's aware of, and nobody wants to accept responsibility for it.
And then that went out by your place would be a good thing to
Oh,
get up
that's
that meeting.
It got worse, but they're in front of your house,
Yeah,
the state highway, they won't talk about it.
yeah,
When a truck hits a bump on US 421 and it knocks knickknacks off your shelf in your house, there's an issue.
it sounds like a cave through my house.
Yeah,
But they're supposed to be coming through and doing that 421 project, so I hope that takes care of it then.
the way I understand Billy to say, the town's responsible for that and we don't have the money.
Just our own storm drains. Them main drains are the states, so they have to take care of those, but anything that crosses it's ours.
We have to do.
Yeah, he's saying we might have issues with that.
I thought he was-
My understanding.
Where that problem is, next block up,
They're gonna find out.
according to them, there's no drain there.
Yeah, there is, cause it's caving in my yard and stuff, so that'll get addressed.
Well, that's over on your side, but this is
Yeah.
on the east side of the road. That's the one that
Okay.
causes all the problems.
Yeah.
But according to, when I talked to the voice of the state was out there, they said there's no drain there. Well, I know there is.
Yeah, we're about to find out.
I hope so.
Continuing on, I did check with Billy and he did not leave a report tonight. He said he's gonna do an extra long report next month.
Mhm.
But he didn't have anything major before he left.
Yeah,
So he's gonna follow up with us when he comes back.
yeah,
I'm-
next month.
One question for you.
Yes.
They were excavating over here, all the stuff was marked, Saturday, and they hit the main over here.
Drew told me.
So, do we charge for that to the people that hit it? Cause if I'm in town and in Frankfurt and I'm doing a dig and I hit a main, and I can be held liable for that, do we do the same thing here? I'm just wondering.
If they called locates in and they hit something where there wasn't a locate, that ain't on the contractor.
So, yeah, we could follow up with Billy to verify that.
I just didn't know how that went.
Yeah. Our next, item is, Brendan.
Thank you. I'll start off with our monthly statistics of our activity. We had 18 calls for service. We had 3 ordinance violation warnings issued, 14 traffic stops. And out of that, we had 2 infractions, 1 misdemeanor arrest, and 13 warnings. Update on the vehicles, they're both running okay, no issues with that. I think I reported last time we saw the cracked spotlight, still on my agenda to get fixed. I attended training in Boswell, Indiana, and it was just for marshal training. I've done this before, it's about the 3rd time. Just a 1-day training is really good, just to get all the local town marshals around to throw ideas off everybody. So I did that in September. And the last item of business I have is I want to introduce everybody to Jay Rosine. I've known him for probably 15 years, and I'd like to Gave Mindy his application and resume and stuff, but I'd like to hire him as our fourth deputy marshal. We can bring us up to 5. We've had that before in the past. We've had that open spot. We're doing okay on the hours, but, you know, like this week, for example, we had fall breaks. It was a little short, so I'll let Jay tell you about himself briefly here, but he's got a lot of law enforcement experience, started in 1995. I'll let him tell you a little bit about himself there, and then I'd like permission to hire him as a part-time deputy town marshal.
Well, good evening. My name is Jay Rosine. I worked at the Lafayette Police Department for almost 26 years. I got hired on with the Lafayette Police Department in November the 8th of 1995. I worked at different departments and held different positions at the Lafayette Police Department. I started out as a patrolman, graduated the basic training at the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. I was part of the 96-125 group. I was a patrolman from 95 till 2001. I obtained the rank of detective. I worked in our special victims unit. I handled a lot of cases where it was crimes against children, things like abusive head trauma. We investigated child death scenes. I also worked in our white collar crime division, and I did, we called it our criminal division back then. But I did some of the white collar crime. I did bank robberies. I became a sergeant in 2007. Went back to patrol and ran patrol shifts on the night shift. Then I moved back to day shift. In 2015, I went back to our detective division. I was a sergeant in our detective division and handled the special victims unit again. In 2016, I got appointed to the rank of lieutenant and went back to patrol, worked the night shift till 2018, then went back to our detective division again and worked till 2021, and I retired with, like I said, almost 26 years of experience. I work with the city of Lafayette. I'm in the engineers department. I do code enforcement. And it's my understanding that you guys have some code enforcement that you do here. You may be asking yourselves, well, you know, why do I want to get back into law enforcement? The truth is, I really miss it. My wife and I, we do like the town of Kirklin. We live 3/4 of a mile away from the Clinton County, Tippecanoe County line. We love Booker's. We also visited the Travelers Distillery and went through they're over there at the old elevator and went through, we did a tour of that. A little bit about myself, other than being a police officer. I'm actually from a small town, Wabash, Indiana. I grew up on a farm. My wife, on the other hand, we met at Purdue. She was born in Brooklyn, New York. And when we go visit the grandparents, we go to Wabash County. When I go visit her grandparents, we go to Brooklyn, New York. So, yeah, anyway, Lafayette, we had a lot of things going on. We survived the George Floyd riots, and just thought it was time to get out. Wanted to take a break, and I do miss law enforcement. I would like to work in a smaller town, and I do have a passion for helping people. I spent almost now 30 years in civil service, working for the city of Lafayette, and you know, some of my experiences as far as with the job. When I say the job, the police job. I've went to Northwestern University and attended the supervision school for frontline supervisors. I went down to the Southern Police Institute, University of Louisville, and I went to investigate, being a lead investigator on homicides. And then also I went to the FBI Academy in 2018, and I was in Quantico, Virginia. Spent, I believe it was 10 weeks out there. I was a class of 273 and graduated and came back and then worked until 2021. So but I'll entertain any questions, but I'm happy to be here and I thank you for your time.
Okay.
Do you folks have any questions?
No.
Sound like you'd be an asset for us.
All right.
I don't have any questions though.
All right.
Everything sounds great.
All right. Well, like I said, I like this town and I want to get back into law enforcement. I want to work with my friend Brendan here and we go to church together. So.
So I'll talk to the guys, they know nobody's getting replaced, they're just,
Just extra help.
just extra help to make sure we get coverage, and we've done it with 4 of us out here, but 5's always nice to cover.
Nights?
What's that?
Nights?
He would be evenings too, like I would be, because he works during the day, so. Not replacing anybody, just kind of making sure we get things covered, and we've talked about bugging for a couple of years now, so, ever since he retired, so.
If there's no other questions or comments, does anybody want to entertain a motion or anything? Or you got a
Before we
question?
go any further, Jay, an extra guy would probably be good, and I may be way off base on this, but anytime we have an open public meeting, shouldn't we have a sergeant at arms here?
Oh, you don't have to.
You don't have to.
No.
Okay. Well, I didn't know. I spoke with Brendan about that earlier. And a lot of times there's a meeting here, an open public meeting, and the police department don't even know about
We never have,
it.
police, presence unless we think there's gonna be a problem at area plan or,
Okay.
and I don't think, I'll ask Alicia, but I don't think Mulberry has police presence, at their meetings.
Okay.
And for years, you would usually have like Brendan, like
Because he gives a report.
the city
Yeah.
of Frankfurt would have the chief there usually, but not, I mean, so yes, you did have an officer there, but it wasn't, required. You know, he was there because of his position and his report he was giving, not, obviously he's there if there is a problem, but.
Yeah.
I just assumed that you gotta have a clerk, you gotta have a quorum, and I just assumed that you had to have a sergeant at arms.
Well, we don't have to then.
No,
Okay.
you don't.
Okay. Anything else or?
No.
Thank you.
Are you guys gonna vote, or do you need to vote, or?
I'll make a motion to hire him.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion to hire Jay Rosine and a second from Brent. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries.
Welcome to Kirkland.
Thank you.
The rifle, is everybody getting trained on that?
Trying to, it's, yeah, got in the works for trying to get done in the fall before it gets too cold.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna finish up with our clerk treasurer items.
Well, she had some.
So we have
You
our,
guys said you have to sign all of them. They had to be.
we have our revenue and appropriations and our reconciliation documents that Carla's gonna pass down for us to sign. So we have all of those signed, and our last two things under the clerk is, Carla had prepared, 2 adjustments for Kurt Foster and, Jamie Pitzer.
Yes, so they both have leaks. Kurt also had a leak while he was on vacation, so quite high, 241.11 cents, and for Jamie, 21.45, just on water, both of them, because we were on sprinkler rates.
Oh, okay.
All them problems have been addressed.
Yeah,
Take
they've been fixed, correct, probably, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I make a motion that we approve these leak adjustments.
A second.
So we have a motion and a second, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries.
Sorry, all of you,
Huh?
all of you? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, all in favor, yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, Carla.
Good time. That's it.
And I don't have anything else tonight.
Sign? No, that's
Walt might have one thing, but I'm not sure what he wanted to say. What were you gonna say?
Well, basically, I think that Tara ought to print out a copy of the agenda to give to everyone at the meeting. Just the agenda, nothing else.
Well, she does have copies up here on the counter.
Okay, well, I mean for us to,
Okay, well, we can ask her that.
you know, that would,
Okay. And if that's it, we're gonna call the meeting. It's over, we're done.
Yes.
Catch you later, buddy.
All right, that's good.
You going down to the Beast Board's Christmas thing?
No, I wanted to,
also
Christmas concert.
Fishers.
Yeah.
Fishers? Yeah. Fisher. Oh,
Great, nice to meet you.
Council.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's-
You're in.
Yeah.
Good night, all.
Yeah.